Man City in a crisis. What's going wrong at the minute? Nobbins, why are you bottling so many games? The recruitment has been bad in the summer. The manager's getting stressed, losing his marbles a bit. What's going on, Nobbins, with Man City right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. Hopefully I can provide an adequate answer. Before I do, I just want to talk about the context of that, because you're absolutely right. We've been really bad. What is it, 1 win in 6 in the league? Yes. That's bad. In fact, it is Guardiola's worst, form run, whatever, in his entire Man City career. This is also objectively the worst start from a points haul perspective in Guardiola's Man City career after 17 games. This is worse than his first season with the club. Yeah, it's actually worse than 16-17. So I'm going to sort of like do a happy twist and then go into the bad stuff. With all that being said, we are still only 5 points away from top spot. With the fact that this is the worst period in Pep's history as City manager, the worst start in City's career, we're still only 5 points off Arsenal. So I'm going to try to, first of all, silver lining it, first of all, before I then talk about that. So I just thought that context was interesting. It is a recurring issue against Spurs, against Liverpool, against Chelsea, against Palace. It's been late goals that we've suffered. Against Palace, I thought we were very good. Especially the first half, I thought we were brilliant. Probably the best football I think we played all season, to be honest. And that fell into the second half as well. We conceded a silly goal to make it 2-1, but it was still fine. We had the ball. Bernardo Silva had the ball in the 92nd minute. Probably our best player to be on the ball in terms of press resistance and control. And he tries to dribble out of his own defensive third in the 92nd minute when we're 2-1 down. And that, to me, just stinks of all I can really put it down to, because, again, it's not something that Bernardo Silva does, who, as I say, is a control merchant, etc. All I can really think of is there is no leadership on the pitch in respect of who is the player that is supposed to be and is telling everyone, right, in all these games, right, guys, we're winning, late in the game, let's just chill out. Let's pass it sideways. Let's punt it up top. Let's shithouse a bit, go down easily for fouls, that sort of thing. Pardon?
What about Kyle Walker?
Well, exactly, and that's what I'm going to get into. Allegedly, he's the captain. He's objectively the most experienced player on that pitch. He's been in the Premier League for over a decade. But and I really like Kyle Walker, as a player, historically especially. But he is not. He's clearly not this calming influence who is able to rally the troops and get everyone on the same page and go, right, guys, calm, sideways, stall, time waste, 3 points. This is what Fernandinho did, Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, even David Silva, Vincent Kompany. Ruben Diaz should be that guy, but he's not doing it. Rodri should be that guy. He's not doing it. In theory, Kyle Walker should be that guy. He's not doing it. So all I can really point to is like the explanation is, as I say, is there's a lack of leadership, and that leads into the lack of game management. You're 2-1 up against Palace, and you've played so well. Just, as I say, just get anyone, get the players and go, right, we're not going to concede now. Just sideways, easy balls. Easy ball's the best ball. Phil Foden, why are you running into enemy traffic in the 92nd minute? Bernardo, why are you trying that dribble in the 92nd minute? Walker, why are you allowing Phil Foden to be the guy who doesn't even see the Palace player? Why are you not taking responsibility as the captain, the leader, rushing onto that ball and hoofing it away? You can see that the Palace player is coming in. You love being an aggressive defender and duelist. Why aren't you doing that? My only explanation, be interested to hear what everyone else thinks. My only explanation and conclusion is that there is no leadership on the pitch. And I don't know why, to be honest.
No, but do you think that's down to complacency, that Manchester City are supposed to be this team, they're on the back of a treble, they're supposed to be top of the league? When you say you're 5 points behind top of the league, that Man City are not supposed to be where they are. They're supposed to be top of the league. Everyone's supposed to be trying to hit their heights. Instead, this season, the penny's changed. You're chasing now. isn't that down to complacency? Because you can pinpoint, we haven't had Rodri for this amount of games, you haven't had Kevin De Bruyne, but you haven't had Kevin De Bruyne in the past, and you've won the league title before. I don't see how that's relevant now. I think I think what you say about leadership, you lost a lot of leadership in the summer. Ilkay Gundogan was the captain. You obviously don't have Fernandinho anymore. Vincent Kompany was a leader for you as well. But I think it's complacency with Man City. The fact that you are so used to winning and you're supposed to be winning that people are expecting you to win and you're not doing it.
I know this is kind of a cop out, but we kind of told you guys this in the summer. We told you guys you're losing a lot of your experience. We told you guys you're losing a lot of your players who get you out of problems. And those guys that you're talking about, leadership you're looking for. Gundogan, you got rid of him. Even though Riyad Mahrez was not necessarily a leader, he was a guy who could take a game by the scruff of the neck and win it for you guys. That level of calmness that you're looking for, you don't have it because you now have more inexperienced players. And I'm not going to say Phil Foden is inexperienced, but the decisions that he is making late in that game show that he's still very, very much he still has to get there with his experience and his calmness throughout the 90. Gavardio, you just brought him in. You have Doku that just came in. Your midfield, a major overhaul happening in your midfield, and that's where your engine room was, where your solidity came from for over the last couple of years. So the changes that you guys have been making to try to rejig your team and continue to win is starting to show that it's not as fluid as a system. You don't have the same core of a team from the past years. So I don't think you're going to see the same level of calmness, the same level of control, the same level of fear from your opponents, because they look across the pitch and they see Mateus Nunes, Kovacic, and Doku. Although they're good players, people are not looking at them the same way they look at Gundogan, Riyad Mahrez, or any of these other guys that have been there, done that, and won it.
I can accept
thing also.
I can accept the lack of experience point for players, or whatever maturity point from players like Foden, Doku, Alvarez, whatever. But I don't buy it for players like Ruben Diaz and Rodri and Kyle Walker and Ake. This isn't a Chelsea situation where there is a lot of youth on that pitch and the average age is really, really low. We have, as I say, I don't know how many Premier League appearances Kyle Walker has. He's been in the Premier League since 2011, over a decade. Rodri's been here for...
You know the answer. Kyle Walker was being lazy in that game. 2 moments.
But why? But why? He's just been made the captain. I don't understand it.
I do think it's complacency. I again, and maybe complacency isn't the right word for it. Gary Neville talks about this, and it's true. One of the reasons why Man United's, even their us as fans and the fans at Old Trafford used to get ridiculed for the atmosphere not being great is because we used to win so much and always be so competitive, especially the first half of the seasons. I'm not going to say the games were boring, but they never felt like they meant as much. And maybe after everything you achieved last year, and I'm going to be honest with you, Mo may get this because his club won a treble. I'm the only other person on here that understands games. All games are important. When you've done something like a treble, when you've done things like a three-peat, it is hard to get up for games. Even fans find it a little bit hard to sometimes get up for these games because you're so used to winning. You're so you get the games that there's just so much bigger. Some boxers are like this. Tyson Fury, when he's up against people he should be beating, never performs the same way than when he's up against someone who's dangerous and is more on his level. He ups his game. And I think that's kind of crept into your team a bit. Plus, you mentioned the points thing, which is true. Worse start than the first season, but only 5 points off top, which is a positive. And it's because what I said over the last few years, City's points totals were amazing. Liverpool's points totals were amazing. But that is not the ultimate barometer for whether the league is the best or that team is the greatest Premier League team ever. This year, Spurs have gone up a level. Villa are brilliant. Arsenal, brilliant. Liverpool got their flaws, but they're still a brilliant team. This is the most competitive and the best high-quality league we have had, in my opinion, for over a decade. We've just got 2 of the wrong teams in the Champions League this year. Man United and Newcastle haven't had a drop-off, but they're balancing 2 comps. They're fledgling at the elite level. Man United have just gone backwards for multiple reasons. If you put Spurs, if you put City, even put Aston Villa in the Champions League this year, they do a lot better than Manchester United. Liverpool could win this Champions League this year. Genuinely, they could win the Champions League this year. I don't think Spurs or Villa would, but I think they could do very well. So what you're going to naturally have is, someone might win it with 85 points. That doesn't mean they're any worse than the team that won it with 95 points. It's just if the overall league is more competitive, if there's better teams in the league, and look how many of the mid-table teams currently, we all know can beat the top teams. We all know if Brighton are absolutely on it, they can beat anyone in this league. Brentford can beat anyone in this league. go back 5 years ago. Was that the case? Really? Were mid-table teams capable of beating the 1 or 2 top teams? They weren't. And it isn't because those top teams have got exponentially worse. It's because what's below them, in my opinion, has got better. So it's a highly competitive year. So City are not as good. They're a little complacent. But what's helping you guys is there isn't one runaway team. If everybody else's levels were low, you'd have actually won more anyway. Or you might have a Liverpool or an Arsenal currently 10 points, 11 points clear, and already running away with it. So I think it makes the league really exciting that City have become a little bit more mortal this year. But it does feel a little bit different. Terry likes feeding the ego of rivals. It's not about feeding the ego of rivals. It's consistent to what I've always said. Someone once said to me, during City and Liverpool going neck and neck, the best the Premier League's ever been. My opinion, no. The best it ever was between 04 and 2012, 2013, where in most of those seasons, all 4 Champions League participants from the Premier League were looked at as top teams that could win the Champions League. That's how you know the quality of your league is absolutely amazing. Let's be honest, in the last 4 or 5 years, we've only ever really felt Liverpool and City were top teams. The rest of us, we've all felt have got big holes here and there. You're not saying that this year. This year, we're looking at so many teams that are excellent on their day. Holes and flaws still, but excellent. So, look, I think that City...
there's players, Terry, now in every club. I agree completely, by the way, with what Terry's saying. When it comes to... I'll address City in a second, but even when you look at the rest of the clubs, like, other than the 3, like, recently promoted clubs, you could probably look at every single other club and take a player to massively improve your team / your squad. I mean, even if you're Man City, for example, you look at Wolves. Let's just take a random example. Probably Pedro Neto makes them better. You look at West Ham. Maybe Jared Bowen would make them better as a right winger from like someone who's a bit more direct. Maybe helps the way City play football, etc. Lucas Paqueta makes them better. There are players who make you better from all over the league. So these players are the players that are delivering for said teams. I mean, Olise, funnily enough, who scored the penalty, I believe he was linked to Chelsea and Manchester City. Him not moving to Chelsea, by the way, best ever decision he made. So he wouldn't be suffocating.
Let me add to
but with Manchester City, guys, let me land. Go ahead. When it comes to Manchester City, I done a watch along for the game, and when it got to 2-0, I was thinking, shall I just fucking end the stream? But I didn't decide to end the stream. I'm like, okay, because City are not immortal this season and just unbelievable, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna be fooled by the hope. And thank God I got fooled by the hope, to be honest with you, because Crystal Palace actually came back. I thought Ederson should have been sent off, in my opinion. That Mateta goal, this is why we have to, same thing I did with my players, we have to hold players accountable. Diaz and Ake's defending for that goal was pathetic, to be honest with you.
I would argue that's a red herring. I'd point more to Walker. Why is he allowing a 1v1 situation?
Walker's the one at fault there. Walker's
absolutely
so lazy.
I'm about to get there, but with Diaz and Ake, for me, both of them, Ake getting done by Mateta on the far post, and Diaz not kind of. I can't believe Nobis just said red herring when I done the same thing for my club. But when it comes to Kyle Walker, I thought this was his worst performance in a City shirt in a really long time. Even for the second goal, bro, that guy, whoever came on for Palace, the Ahmada guy, he came on and he just, for God knows what reason, just like went like, okay, I'm gonna try dribble past this Walker guy, and he just succeeded at it, to be honest with you. He got into dangerous positions multiple times. Now, I don't think City are unbeatable this season. It has to do with 2 things, not just the Premier League around them improving, which is one reason, or complacency. I said this to Terry in the summer when I was the only one on Straight Facts that did not predict City to win the league. There is a reason why, after a back-to-back, no one has ever won a 4th in English football. There's a reason why. Now, you can even see it in the way Pep's moving in the press conferences. Like, mental fatigue is a thing. Getting tired of just the same shit, the motivation levels. Like, if this was City from last year, City beat Crystal Palace. City from the year before, City beat Crystal Palace. The year before, City beat Crystal Palace. This current City team is moving differently right now. And I'll be honest with you, City fans should be really happy. And this is the last thing I'm going to say before I go. By the way, Tom Little coming on now is the Iago Aspas substitution, 13-14. You know, Sam leaving, Tom Little coming on. Worst substitution, football terrace history. Big up Tom Little. But anyway, last thing I'll say. The best thing for Man City fans now, and I'm sure Nobbins will agree on this, no red herrings, red salmons now. The FIFA Club World Cup has come at the perfect time for Manchester City. This is the perfect time to have it. Just go away to something that you haven't won, get your motivation levels up, get a trophy on board as well so you can complete football. Now, I would completely turn 180 degrees if Manchester City do not win the Club World Cup. If they allow Al Ahly or Fluminense to win the Club World Cup and they return home without a Club World Cup, then we're going to talk about there actually is a City crisis happening right now. So yeah, that's what I would say. But big up, guys. We got to